Welcome to The Fighter with Kris Sims. I am Kris Sims. I'm the Alberta Director for the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day and a very busy news week. If you have not done so yet, please remember to like this video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, head on over to Juno News, subscribe to a truly free press, and be sure to share this show with people who need to know. Okay, action-packed show for you. As of this recording, today, Monday, we've got a big budget vote looming. I don't even want to call it a budget, though, because that was just a disaster. As you know, we are now facing down a deficit, basically an overspending bill that is close to $80 billion with a B. Remember when then Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland apparently quit over a lot less of a budget? Yeah, well, here we are. We are in a clown world. So what's happening right now in the House of Commons is every member of Parliament is getting contacted by their whip and their House leader. These are official roles within the House of Commons. And the phone calls are going something like this. Hey, Bob. Hi, Mike. Yeah, you're going to be there for the vote, right? Yes. And we can count on you to vote the correct way? Yes. Because what a budget vote is a confidence vote. It's an automatic confidence vote. What that is a gut check on the government. So if a government loses a budget vote, the government falls. And then the prime minister has to take that little walk to the governor general's house. And bango, bango, kids, we are in an election. Now, I've been in the arena for a long time. I worked on Parliament Hill for decades. I don't think we are at risk of going to an election, but I will eat an entire pound of broccoli if I am wrong. What I think is happening here is the press gallery is keyed right up, and that has some members of Parliament keyed right up. And that was only made worse or better, depending on your point of view, with the floor crossing that we recently saw. So people are jittery, okay? People are talking about previous governments that have fallen or not on budget votes, and everybody's running around. We've got an amazing guest for you in just a couple of minutes. Remember Aaron Gunn? Yeah, he is that rock star documentary filmmaker who made the film Vancouver is Dying. And then he made kind of a spin-off one where he made it more of a national show, and it was called Canada is Dying. I will say he actually premiered that in theater here in Lethbridge, Alberta. It was a packed house. People from all sides of the political spectrum turned out to watch that documentary film. Now, Aaron Gunn is a member of Parliament for the West Coast. He's up on the north side of Vancouver Island there. And he is going to be, of course, making a speech about the budget in the House of Commons today and then voting accordingly. We're going to hear from him in just a moment. But I wanted to reset the stage here when it comes to how bad this budget is. This budget was so bad, and the forecasting for it was so bad that the Parliamentary Budget Officer, the nonpartisan government budget watchdog, hit the alarm button in the House of Commons, saying that this kind of spending was unsustainable. Remember this?
How alarming is that for the average Canadian, for the taxpayer? Because there is only one taxpayer, right?
It should be very alarming, right? These are, I don't know, I think I used the words in French, and which the translators probably got really well, like stupefying, shocking, right? This is not, like, it's not a funny fiscal outlook. It's a really serious fiscal outlook. And we don't lightly use the word unsustainable, right? Unsustainable means you don't have the option of saying, maybe I'll wait a couple of years, I'll see how things go. It means if you don't change, this is done.
This is done. I have to stress, you don't get economy majors like these kind of bureaucrat watchdoggy type folks in Ottawa speaking like this very often. So this is why it is super important. If I can leave our audience with one lesson from today, is don't get caught up in the theater, okay? Don't get caught up in the hype of the politics, because all that's doing is clouding over terrible policy. It's distraction. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. Gin up some drama on Parliament Hill, have some dramatic floor crossings, and it's basically like high school with salaries that are paid for by taxpayers and power. And then they all stay in the same little terrarium and they lose track of the big picture. And the big picture is we are in serious trouble with this budget. Fitch, the international credit rating agency, has issued a warning to Canada, basically saying you're spending too much. You have got to rein in your wasteful spending, or you're at risk of getting a credit downgrade. What that would mean for all of us is that we would be paying more money on interest payments on the debt. As of right now, it's already more than $50 billion a year. What does this mean for the vote? And what does this mean going forward? Let's find out. Joining us now is Aaron Gunn, a friend of the show. Aaron, it's nice to see you, at least through video link.
It's great to chat with you again, Kris. Thanks for having me.
So you are now officially a member of Parliament. It's what, Vancouver Island North Powell River? What's the official title?
Yeah, member of Parliament for North Island, Powell River, the Fighting North, the north half of Vancouver Island, and a bit of the mainland as well.
Love it. So for folks who don't know, Powell River is technically over on the mainland, and you need to take a little ferry from Comox to be able to go see it. I know because I grew up there in the Comox Valley. So Aaron, or Mr. Gunn, I don't know what I'm supposed to call you now. So you now are obviously a Conservative member of Parliament. Safe to say that the opposition Conservative Party is going to be voting against this budget, correct?
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. At the end of the day, when you're talking about the largest deficit in Canadian history outside of COVID, over $300 billion in new debt being promised over the next 5 years, that's not a budget that anyone, I think, who considers themselves fiscally conservative or fiscally responsible really would be able to support in good conscience.
Yeah, it is a mess. Now, I've been in the game for a long time. I've worked on the Hill for a long time. I'm a little worried that some of the drama of like floor crossy, it's kind of like high school politics, but with money and power, that is getting some of the oxygen in the media. I'm worried that the focus is being taken off of what a disaster that budget was. To your point, it's fiscally irresponsible. It is close to an $80 billion deficit. The interest payments alone that we're paying on this thing is more than $50 billion a year. How is it feeling there? You're physically on the Hill. You're waiting to go into the House of Commons. Is the focus on voting down this budget?
Well, it should be. I can't speak for the media. Of course, the media, it's a little bit like low-hanging fruit for them. This kind of palace intrigue, the drama, the will he, won't he kind of games, as opposed to talking about the really substantive fiscal issues that all Canadians need to be talking about. I mean, we are sleepwalking into insolvency. We are careening off a fiscal cliff. This is a Liberal government that's picking up from 10 years of Justin Trudeau, where we doubled our national debt, as you well know. And now Mark Carney has put forward a budget where he's actually planning to borrow twice as much over the next 5 years as Justin Trudeau was planning to do. And we're leaving all of this debt to future generations to pay for. We're eroding our fiscal capacity as a country. And as you also mentioned, all of this debt is going to come up with a cost, and it's going to mean higher and higher interest payments over the next 5, 10, and really years in perpetuity. And that's money that can't be spent on schools, hospital, roads, or our brave men and women in uniform.
That's very well put. I gotta say, you and I, have worked in and out together for many years. So my bias is here. I like Aaron. However, we do get the same sort of emails, I would argue. We get emails all the time in at the Taxpayers Federation saying things like, I'm at my wit's end. I'm working harder than I've ever worked, but I can't save money and I can't afford the basics. You're in a riding where it's a really high cost of living. It is absolutely gorgeous and is full of hardworking people, but man, it is expensive to live there. What are you hearing from your constituents? You just got off of a break week. What are you hearing from your constituents when it comes to things like affordability?
Yeah, what I'm hearing from people right across the riding, and I think this is reflected, to be frank, in the national polls as well, is the number one issue is cost of living, whether that's your day-to-day affordability, whether that's food affordability, whether that's housing affordability. And one of the things that to me, it's one of the reasons why I find this budget so offensive is because across the board, that is the number one issue when asked that Canadians give. Yet all this budget promises is more deficits and inflationary spending. And when you print more money or you borrow more money, you inject tens or hundreds of billions of dollars into the economy without producing more of what that money buys, all you end up
Mhm.
doing is devaluing your currency, which increases the cost of goods, which is basically the other is inflation. That's what inflation is. And of course, when you have inflation, you tend to have a corresponding rise in prices of assets. So if you have lots of money in real estate or stocks, you probably can weather the storm okay. So it disproportionately hurts those with less.
Yes.
And in particular, it hurts young Canadians. So on one hand, we're sticking them with a massive amount of debt in the form of deficits that they will have to pay off. And on the other hand, all of this debt and deficit borrowing is leading to inflation that is disproportionately going to hurt them the most. So I think they're getting a real raw deal on this budget. And I think it makes the number one issue facing Canadians and facing our country even worse.
I wanted to really put a point on that of what you just said there, which is bang on. During 2020, 2021, around those lockdown years, the government did two things at the same time, which turned out to be a disaster. A, they locked down big chunks of the economy. So we weren't making the stuff that money buys. So that's lockdown. Two, they printed hundreds of billions of dollars with a B out of thin air. Those two things, it's like a perfect storm for inflation. I'm also concerned about this current budget because quite often government will be tempted to print more money to paper over their deficit. And in this case, to your point, I can't believe this, Aaron, that here we are with a deficit much bigger than what former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland supposedly quit over. I'm worried that we're going to see more money printing and more inflation connected to this huge deficit budget. Is that what you're hearing in the House as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, money printing is, I mean, it's either going to come in the form of money printing, or you have to issue new bonds and
Yep.
and pay even higher interest rates, and sometimes you print money to try to lower your interest cost, but that just devalues your currency. So it's look, my grandfather is turning 95 next month, told me a lesson early in life that there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Everything's got a cost. Eventually the bill comes due, or in the famous words of Colonel Tom Parker, what does it cost if it's free? So you can't just print money or borrow money to prosperity. It's never worked in history. It logically makes no sense. And we as a country are going to end up paying that bill plus interest. And the longer we take to right this fiscal ship, the more of a shock that will eventually be whenever that day comes, and it will come. So I think it's unfortunate that we're not talking about this more. I mean, just again, the largest deficit in Canadian history outside of COVID. This should be the top line story that everyone is discussing. And yet I've seen some people in the media refer to this as a progressive conservative budget, which to me is completely insane and also frustrating. So it's we have to get spending under control. I know you guys at the Taxpayers Federation have been great at pointing out, this is not like this is a government revenue problem, and the federal government has run out of money, or the taxes that the government takes in hasn't increased dramatically over the past 10 years, but it is a spending problem. It is a political short-sightedness problem, and we need to get back to the deep structural reforms. I'll just make one more point, if I may, Kris. Um, I always wonder how they justify this. How do they justify all the additional spending? How do they justify all the additional debt? And for me, it's always comes back to, for them, being that what Canada needs is more government. Government is a solution to all the problems. And I think if you look back over the last 10 years, that hasn't been the case. All of this economic stagnation has been because of government. It's because government, it's not that they didn't step up in any particular way. It's that they didn't get out of the way. They blocked the Northern Gateway and Energy East pipeline. They introduced job-killing bills like C-69, C-48, the industrial carbon tax, and then they doubled our national debt with over $600 billion in inflationary spending and have almost nothing to show for it. So I think we could actually do with less government for a change, and that would actually solve a lot of these problems.
It would certainly be more affordable. I only have you for 3 more minutes, and I really appreciate your time. For folks who don't know, when there's a vote coming, you'll suddenly start hearing these chimes. They ring all through Parliament Hill, doong, doong. And that means you can see all these members of Parliament running into the House to vote. So I've only got you for a couple more minutes, but I wanted to kind of ask you, it's kind of inside baseball, but it's meant in good faith and in hope. Is
Mhm.
there any connection happening over there in the eyes of the government on, oh yeah, the lights are coming on. This is a serious problem. We have a spending problem. We have a fiscal problem. If we get a credit downgrade, we're in deep trouble. And I'm asking you this, Aaron, because back in the day of the time of the Chrétien government, things weren't perfect, but they weren't fiscally like this. Paul Martin was the finance minister and he was a liberal and he tackled the deficit. He took it on at the urging of Preston Manning, but he did do it. Are there any lights going on in the eyes over there on the government side of, okay, party's over, Trudeau's gone, we've got a guy with a PhD in economics who's our prime minister now, it's time to be the adult in the room? Are there any of those MPs that are you seeing waking up here?
Well, that's what I was hoping for. And you
Yeah.
mentioned Paul Martin, and of course, he received the Tax Fighter Award from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, rightly so, for slaying the deficit. But what I can't figure out right now, Kris, is if this government is trying to is gaslighting Canadians, or, or they're gaslighting Canadians and themselves. Because what they've been doing is they've been on this. Oh, Mark Carney has literally said we're not spending more; we're going to be spending less, and we're investing more, which makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, if you're a bondholder, you're a rating agency, you don't care if the government has borrowed $300 billion to build roads, pay teachers, uh, buy submarines. Debt is debt. It all carries interest. It all impacts your carrying capacity as a government and as a country. And it's all hogwash. I mean, you could claim anything as an investment. You could claim paying teacher salaries as an investment in the future. You could claim so it's all trying to move numbers around to obfuscate the bottom line, which is that we're incurring massive amounts of new debt. And I just don't know if this government and this prime minister knows that and is gaslighting Canadians, or somehow they've convinced themselves that this is somehow sound economic policy. And to me, it's just the same old from the Liberals, which is spend more, borrow more in an attempt to buy votes, all at the expense of future generations and the fiscal stability of our country.
Well, Aaron, I hope that other parties and other members of parliament wake up to this, because this has got nothing to do with the team color of the jersey here. We're in trouble. And spending more than $50 billion a year on debt interest, folks, we have to pay that. That isn't something that they can magically hide in the budget. It's a line item. It's like a bill that you don't like, but you have to pay. We're all paying it. So I really hope that sanity prevails. I know you got to go. Aaron Gunn, Member of Parliament for Vancouver Island North Powell River. Good luck today, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Kris.
You betcha. Once again, that was Aaron Gunn. He, of course, is a longtime documentary producer. He is the one that created the Vancouver is Dying documentary, and now he is a member of parliament. As you can hear, he's very concerned about the deficit. He's very concerned about these warnings we're hearing from the PBO saying that this is unsustainable, because at the end of the day, all of us, folks, it doesn't matter if you're a Liberal fan or a Conservative fan, okay, or a Green Party voter, we're all paying for this. And it's a huge waste of money. So, folks, make sure you pick up the phone. You call your member of parliament. You tell them that you want them to balance the budget, that you want them to stop wasting money and to slay the deficit the way the old Liberal government had tackled back in the early 2000s. Folks, thank you so much for watching this special program, this special episode of The Fighter with Kris Sims. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and head on over to Juno News. Take out a subscription, because then you're supporting a free press. Thanks so much.